All right. Welcome to today's episode of TalkNRoll. Unfortunately, Hawk is out again. We have some issues. He's having some car issues, but he'll be back next time. Today we have from Love Stallion, from Denver, Colorado, Mr. Hart here. I have to say that I was telling him I was scrolling through, found the video, fell in love with the video because I grew up on 80s hair metal and then made my way into the harder stuff, but I still go back to the glam metal. But please tell us about yourself.
Yeah, man. Gosh, I think we started the band, or I started the band like 10 years ago now. And it was just, a buddy of mine in town. We just played in various projects together, and he was also kind of grew up in the era and wrote, he was, of course, the first guitarist, Rob, on the first record. So yeah, it just kind of started as, hey, let's see what happens. It turned into like kind of snowballed, right? At first it was, we'll try a little of this, turned into the full blown, spandex and lipstick. And, I didn't, certainly fans of Kiss and Van Halen and all that. And obviously, I grew up with the music too. And the more I got into it, just the whole thing is just so fun and silly. And of course, a huge fan of Steel Panther and what they're doing. So, so I mean, I'm from Chicago. I was on my way to LA, stopped in Denver for a little bit, and loved it. Loved the people. Connected with some cool cats that we started the band with. And it's kind of course, morphed over time. But yeah, we started writing in 13, started playing out 15, and then 19 we finally played with. Got some bigger tickets like Steel Panther. We got to play Red Rocks, and then we cut our second studio album end of 22, and we've been on a little hiatus, but yeah, we just that music video actually for Rock My Baby, which is off our second record, we filmed in February of 21. So it was kind of a, like you saw, like the animation and all that took so long, they didn't expect, and but it really came out super cool, kind of like that Aha's take on me.
Oh yeah, it will. As somebody who grew up and I get crap because man, I love metal from A to B, and I grew up on the hair bands and stuff like that, and finding this, and it was such a throwback. It was so cool that it had the opening where you get that longer opening like they used to have in those where you'd have the lead up with the band coming together, but it's great. It follows that whole 80s vibe on music videos, and I can't praise it enough. I just love it. And it's we've had this discussion because my wife is she still loves her hair bands, and I do too. I mean, hell, I think last year we went and seen Sebastian Bach. So, I would go see him again every time he comes through the area. But we have the discussion that everybody goes, because in your video it says, grunge killed hair metal or glam metal, but it didn't.
Right.
We have the conclusion. All it did was made, for the most point, they changed their hairstyle and their clothes a little bit, and it became Hinder or
well, yeah, right. There's like a lot of those snippets from the early 90s. They grunge killed glam, and then, but of course, and then that happened, and then all the rock stars like got divorced, went bankrupt, went to rehab, cut their hair, and then came back, of course, like 15 years later. So maybe I'll fall in that path too. But yeah, man, like it's right. It's just like that vibe was just so much like, silly and a lot of just levity in the whole thing.
It was all about having fun. I mean, it was all about hanging out, having fun, partying, and stuff like that. And I joke around. I was like, I didn't get into grunge. It's like, life was depressing enough. I don't need my music to be depressing too.
Right. Yeah. I would we just talked about, we're writing sex poetry and doing ridiculous stuff. And, everyone asks, are you serious? Are you not serious? And we're like, I think you're missing the point then if you're asking that.
Well, I had to laugh. I was like, people look at me and I was like, yeah, literally my first concert I went to. I'm glad there's no pictures because
Yeah.
I am leather pants, bullet belt, leather jacket. It's hotter than hell. It's like July, or I mean, it's like May, and it was still hot. I've got the leather jacket on, no shirt. I'm like, yeah, and I'm like, oh god, I'm the dork, man. I was a senior in high school and thought I was the coolest guy ever.
Dude, we've done those gigs. So we played UMS, which is like the underground music showcase in Denver, and they had, we had a great, 5 p.m. Saturday night on Broadway there in Denver, and it was like 95 out, and they've got the door open, and the place is packed, lying down the block, right, and we're leather, and then I was like, change into my stage clothes. And thank God there's spandex. But our whole band sweated out our entire, right? We're just dripping at the end of, we're dripping before we got on stage.
Why did it have to be at 95 in the middle of the day? Holy crap. That sucks
Yeah.
so bad. The how did Love Stallion come to fruition? I mean, you talked about you and your buddy getting together, but can you expand on that a little bit? How many
Yeah, I mean,
incarnations of the band?
he was super big into, of course, Kiss and Van Halen. And the first record has a little bit of, right, a little Zeppelin, a little, he loves Pete Townsend. And so, yeah, it kind of started, and he left the band after the first record, and just personal stuff and getting married and whatnot. And then kind of the new lineup just was, more glam, just who the lineup was. And and I got into Steel Panther probably back in like 16, 17, those guys.
Yeah.
And we were going to all the shows because all the big rock and roll was coming back. And so we just, I don't know, just kept having fun with it, and bigger and better and more silly and whatnot. And uh, yeah, so we cut the first record, had that big run in 19, and then COVID hit. And during COVID, we, just decided we could do what everyone else is doing and sit on the couch and smoke weed, or write our second record, because it's hard to find time with it. So yeah, we just in my family room, which I live in a condo, right? So we've got like drums. We just set up like a whole band studio, pretty much a band practice space. There's nowhere to sit, and we spent like a few months just writing the record live. So yeah, so then when things came back, we were able to kind of hit the ground running. But
Did your neighbors have fun with you playing?
oh, definitely not. There's thankfully the one of the neighbors had moved out, so that was empty. But then this older couple moved in, and they would definitely knock on the door at 9 or 10 at night, and we'd have to. But during COVID, not much going on, so we could start in the afternoon and just go.
I've noticed that a lot of that with interviewing these bands that either they spawned out of COVID, like they got bored, so they became bands out of COVID, or they were bands that really got serious during COVID. So they were like,
Mm-hmm.
they're fiddling around. All of a sudden, they're just like, we have all this free time in our hands. So they start busting their ass and putting music together and stuff like that. Is that what you guys did? Kind of like hit that point where like, got nothing else to do. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, well, right, because the first record was Rob and I wrote it, and then kind of would try to add some members and put, so it was a little bit more, I don't know. There's a difference between writing the band with all the players in one space with, drums or regular drums, because we got some practice spaces, versus kind of like doing the at-home studio thing and making it work live.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, COVID for me and for us was not just in music, but like find, I wish the world would hit timeout so I could get all the stuff done that we wanted to do. So that it was great because right, that music video, we were 3 days from like literally 7 a.m. call time until like 10, 11 at night filming and doing that whole thing. And it's hard, hard to get that time and get a whole crowd together, band, crew, extras, actors, the whole thing. We had like 20 people together for 3 days. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a hard one to do, to keep everybody wrangled for 3 days when you need to have them film, because they're like, I can come in for a day, I can do this for 2 days, I can.
Right.
It's ridiculous. So I gotta ask, do you have a favorite '80s band?
I'd say Kiss.
Yeah.
Kiss, between Kiss and Van Halen, uh, David Lee Roth Van Halen. Of course, Sammy Hagar Van Halen ranks way up there too, because like OU812 and 5150 were such great records. But
Well,
we uh, yeah, Kiss, well, and Def Leppard. So those are kind of like my top three. But they just, Kiss, of course, and Van Halen. Yeah, they were, of course, awesome and had great music, and we really spend a lot of time in the writing and the production. But a lot of the bands are great, but those guys seem to have the most fun with it. It was just this circus show.
well, yeah, because I went back and because I always count Van Halen and Van Hagar as basically two vastly different bands that just happen to have some of the same members. Because I mean, the musical change from 1984 to 5150 is, but yeah, it's shit. Van Halen, I still I grab one of my albums and pop it over there every once in a while. Yeah, it's with getting the band together, being out there, working on your second album, and in not very long amount of time. Did you have issues with, because you said you started with your partner in the first one and you went to the second one. How well did the second group of guys come together?
So, yeah, the first record, Rob agreed to finish the studio album, but he didn't really play it live. We had been playing it live for, a couple of years. I guess from 15 to we cut it in, I think it was 18. So then after the album release, right, it was kind of a fresh start and pulling it back together. And by 19, so January 19, my guitar tech Sabrina, who'd been around, for the last 4 years, doing all the setup, knew all the songs, knew the choreography, all that. The bass player who'd played a couple shows with us couldn't play when we got invited to play Steel Panther at the Fillmore, which is right a few thousand people. He was already double booked. I think he played with his band played with Steelheart. So he's like, I mean, I can't leave my other buddies, and it's Steelheart. So we played the show, and Sabrina, right? She's like 21, joining a cock rock band of these dudes who are like early 30s, and just we practiced every day for 30 days in a row. It was like work out twice a day, rehearse, crash, do it all over again. And everyone just loved her. She gelled with the band, and we really set the lineup then. January 19, kept that, played that. We went to LA for a couple of shows. Then COVID hit, and we wrote that record together. So so I suppose the lineup that we did the second record with was about together for about 4 years, 19, 20, 21, 22. And then, just over a year ago, we kind of took a little hiatus because, right, 4 years is a pretty good long run for a band, and everyone's kind of doing their own thing. And Sabrina had moved to LA and now to Nashville. So kind of hit it time out to like regroup. But yeah, right, when the band started in 2015 to 2019, we probably had, who knows, a dozen players through. And it always changes, right? Because we had this super 80s, Motley Crue look-alike metal guitarist, and then we have right, as it changes, and that guy's like, no, I don't want to play the softer stuff, and I will only play these, and I won't even play that for show filler. We're going to do a Motley Crue cover, that sort of thing. So, right, it's have you been in bands before you play?
I used to. I haven't been in a band forever, but yeah, it. I have the ongoing joke that literally my band imploded during our first practice as a full band because me and my buddy had been putting together music and playing, and then we got two other guys that those three had been friends longer than I had been friends with my one buddy. We get together first practice. I did it. I was like, hey man, I was like, if you write the music and you wrote the song and you want to do it, that's your song. You sing it. If you want to sing it, whatever. I was like, these are songs that I wrote. I've got they have meaning to me, so I want to sing them. And then they're like, well, we think that this guy should be the singer. I'm like, dude, this is the first thing. This is what I want to do. And we just start arguing like the first thing. Finally, I just grabbed up all my stuff. I threw it in my bag with my guitar, and I'm like, I'm out of here. Bye. And I walked out the door.
Yeah,
And
yeah. There's a lot of personality management, So yeah, after having to get to that last lineup after even 4 years and then keep them together for four was right, not without stress and heartache and conflict and whatnot. But that's right. I study all the greats, and it's they went through all the same stuff.
yep.
It's not always sunshine and roses.
Well, there's very few bands that are together today that are with their original lineup even remotely close, and the ones that are, the people don't like each other, and that's that weirds me out. Is like one of my favorite bands was the Ramones, and finding out that years later that they all pretty much hated each other, and you're just like, you're the Ramones, man. I was like, how do you hate each other? You've been
Yeah.
together forever. And same thing with other bands that I love, that you find out like these guys despised each other. It's like, I hate to say it's Kiss. Is you look back I grew up, I'll be 50 in June, and so I've been through the whole Kiss thing. And I'm like, oh yeah, these guys got to be friends, and they're like, no, no.
Well, the current lineup is, and yeah, if you know their history, I mean that was pretty. It's wild that they're still together, right? Paul carried the whole thing,
Mm-hmm. Because
and
Gene wanted to be an actor at one point, and they were ready to, when he did all those cheesy. Well, I can't say cheesy. I love a couple of them, so I can't say nothing about it.
yeah,
I love Trick or Treat and Run Away. So,
yeah,
but it is. I mean, it's got to be seriously hard because you got so many different people, and if you're starting out, y'all have essentially day jobs for the most part and lives outside the band. And yeah, I could definitely see it being a huge pain in the ass from time to time, wrangling everybody, going, okay, we need to practice. Well, I got to work, or, I'm my girlfriend or my wife or my kids, and
yeah.
it's got to be hard. And so I got to ask though, what did you do? Were you in any bands before you decided to do the throwback 80s style? Were you in like a, just straight metal? Were you in a new metal?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of, yeah, I had my own like kind of pop rock thing that I'd done on and off uh, since like high school, and it's just playing with different bands. I played drums in a buddy's pop rock band, toured on bass, playing like different projects. The pop, I was kind of doing a pop rock thing, like some piano pop, or can when you contrast it to like 80s glam metal, it's just pure pop. But at the time, right, I'm like, oh no, we're like a pop rock band, and it's not. So, and I was, I played piano, so would do stuff here and there. But yeah, it was like every other band that barely lasts a rehearsal. It's often like a one-off or a few shows or a short tour run or something like that. So this was, it was really when I went and saw Prince Prince came and played live and played back-to-back shows at this smaller venue here in Denver. And my buddy took me, and he called me. It was like probably half hour before Prince went on. He's like, my girlfriend's sick. She's thrown up. She's going home. I have an extra ticket. You want to come? And I like ran over there. And I knew some Prince songs and kind of, but I was floored. It was like such a rock and roll set. And I looked up and I was like, what am I doing with this other stuff? Because he like the choreography was on point. It was like with what was it called, like Third Eye Girl or something. There's like 3 smoking hot chicks who are phenomenal, every one of them. And the choreography, he'd like freeze with the spotlight would catch him on the back wall doing this, and all the things. Anyway, so it was right after that. My buddy Rob, right, who'd been, hey, check out this new riff, and I used to write this. I was like, we got to do this. And then we went and saw Kiss Def Leppard, caught him front row. It was right when they were doing the return.
Yeah.
And so in like 13, 14, front row was like $140, and now it's like $14,000 with Kiss at the Garden. So yeah, it was like, you just realize, well, you just, right, it's not hard to do it, but it is a lot of details to pull together. But we just kind of, we're talking, so many people these days like don't leave. My mentor and vocal coach, Dr. Scott, he's like, most bands these days, right, are just playing along to the record essentially, and no one walks away being like, I can't wait to hear them again because they sound exactly like, and it's so pristine and wasn't like rough. But there's not too much of a show in rock and roll. So it's just like a lot of live rehearsals. So we're like, let's get back to where it was an actual show.
Oh yeah, there's something inherently awesome about going to see bands. I'm huge Rob Zombie fan, and I love going when he has the big stage show and the dancers and the big robots and stuff like that. That was always awesome. But then I go the other way. One of my favorite bands is Clutch, and you'll go see a Clutch show on Friday, and it's one set, and you go see them on Saturday, it's a completely different set. They will very rarely play the same songs, and if they do, they play 12 songs, only 4 of them are the same from the night before and never in the same order. I literally went and seen him last time. I was thinking, I'm calling an audible. And he goes, I'm playing this song. And he stops mid-song and just goes into a different song. And they're having fun with it. And they're just playing, having a good time. But yeah, you got to have some sort of stage presence. And I miss the whole having the dancers or the background singers or, the stage show and stuff like that. And very few of them still have stage shows, but when they do, it's like, yes, you gotta love it. So it's, and talk about Prince, and both my wife and I love Prince, and that was a rock star. There's just few people are like that level of just stars. They're not like him, David Bowie, whatever. They're just above everything else. They got like, oh yeah, we're here. Then Prince and David Bowie, stratosphere. So,
yeah.
So, and we have the ongoing joke that they didn't die; they just went home. They went back to their home realm.
Yeah.
So, we were talking about earlier bands. What I always love asking this one was, do you remember the name of your first band? It's always something bad.
Yeah, I mean, we like all the like high school pop, like coffee shop projects, right? Oh, the first one was in like middle school called Pressed for Time. It was so stupid. But it was just like 3 Ps, this really good guitarist, his brother on drums, and I was just playing like bass or keys, backing up and doing a couple songs here or there. And right, parents are like, "Oh, that's cute."
They're so good, yes.
Mm-hmm. How about you? What was yours?
Mine was No Fate. because I had just Terminator 2 had just came out, and
Dude, yeah. No
I
faith but what we make.
yes, that's what it was. And then I had a second band, and it was Wormhole, and because we're a bunch of nerdy guys hanging out in a comic book store putting music together at the time, and it was I was the metal thrash guy, and I played bass. My buddy was old school punk, and he played guitar. And then we had just the like stoner groove guy that played drums, and he was big into like Fish and Grateful Dead and stuff like that. And we played the weirdest, greatest. All we did was just play around at the shop. We never went to any place. We just had a little setup and played here and there, and had fun trying to play covers that didn't sound anything like the cover when we were done. But
It, it's it's funny though, how it all comes together, right? Like, of course, I mentioned like the super metal guy, and
yeah,
anyway, the lineup we finally had, right? Sabrina was into metal, Tay was like blues punk, and the drummer was big punk, and then I'm coming in with like, let's do, we're gonna do glam metal, and of course, that was a lot of the creative differences, but also created the product of like, hey, let's go into pop, that's going to metal, that's going to blues or something.
yeah,
So it's always fun to like, right, read the history of the bands and where they came from, because it's not like everyone was just the same and everyone just wanted to do right, because it was like, what did they call? I always say, Rolling Stones called Leopard's Adrenalize album that came out like '92 hard pop, but it was like heavy riffs, but like the pop on top, just
oh,
like David Lee Roth did, like big rock. So we actually, our single off the first record we called was Big Rock Radio, and we actually called the band Big Rock Radio to start because we didn't really have a name yet until we settled on Sex Horse. So yeah, anyway, that big rock sound is just where it's at.
you know, I looked, and when I spotted Love Stallion, and the fact that band didn't already exist
Totally.
was shocking. That's what I've learned a lot from doing this show, is that a lot of these bands, I'm like, how did you score that band name? Because that seems like one that would already be taken. They're like, fuck, we don't know. We were looking and Googled it and it wasn't taken, so we took it. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah, like Love Stallion definitely seems like a band that would have existed before now, you know. But
and it and my last name being Hart, it just was easy branding.
yeah, is that your real last name, Hart? Or is it,
Yeah.
okay, cool. I'm not gonna lie. I'd have been super lazy if I'd have been in a hairband metal. You'd been Heart Attack or Heart Throb or something like that. Especially if my last name was Hart.
Everyone always suggested those, and I was
Yeah,
like, that's cheesy, man.
yeah, that's exactly where my mind would have went. I'm like, fuck, I would have been the Don Dokken. I'd have definitely had my name in the cover. Van
Hmm.
Halen. Yeah, well, there's two other guys in the band. It's Van Halen.
Classic.
Yeah, it's funny watching, going back and looking at some of these bands, and they're like, how did you not know you were going to have issues with the lead singer when the band's called Dokken and you're just the other four guys in the band?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, drama's there, drama, and well, I hate to say this, but the nice part about it is I think once the really hard partying left the bands, I think so many of them got better because
Oh,
their talent actually came out. They weren't too screwed up to play anymore or anything like that. So
yeah. Well, and that's where a lot of the lineups changed too. Is some people went to rehab and some people didn't, or learned to balance it better.
yeah, it's. I went. My wife and I went and seen Dokken, Warrant, and D. Snyder a couple years back. And it's funny because I took pictures. My buddy goes, "What year are you in currently?" I was like, "I'm in 1988. Thank you very much."
It was a good year.
Oh man. So I gotta ask, how old are you, if you don't mind?
38.
38. Okay. So you were in there at the very butt end of the hair metal stuff right
Yeah.
there, probably being a little kid. Um and you've got the tour with, you've done some shows with Steel Panther. Have you been able to do shows with any other hair bands or glam bands?
Yeah, we played with, well, I don't know, there's not many on Glam, but we played with LA Guns, we played with Kicks, and we played with, who else we play with? There's one or two others, but there's a group here in town called Wolfpack, and they book a lot of, it's always the 80s style bands and 80s style metal. And then they'll have a big lineup with the headliner coming through. So and they've got a few venues staked out. It's all the old metalheads.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
Do you still do covers and stuff like that still in your shows?
So that was kind of one thing when we started out was absolutely no covers, no negotiations. Because you know, when that metal guitarist back in 19 left the band, he wouldn't play one or two of the songs, so we ended up covering a Motley Crue song or something. But that was the only cover we ever did. So yeah, because we'd like. I remember we applied to play a festival, and the promoter who had previously booked my pop project was like, "Hey, this is great. Can you send over your song list or your set list?" And I was like, "Wait, it's all original, but so here it is." He's like, "Well, I don't recognize anyone. Any of these? Can you send?" Anyway, people thought we were a cover band, so we never did that. So yeah, I think that was the only cover we ever played because we'd get done with the show and say, "That was great, man. I love it," but I didn't recognize any of the songs. Right, because that just came out.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed that we used to have a really good music scene here in town. We're in a pretty small town, but you had the cover bands that could sell out shows every weekend, every weekend, every weekend, and we had one did covers, and then one week they go, okay, this is our last weekend we're doing covers. And then
Mm-hmm.
like a month later they came back and they only did just their new stuff, and everybody's like, all right, and
Right.
like less than half the crowd was there. And I was like, man, I was like, I think you'd want to go like covers and then add some of your originals, and then covers and add a few more originals, and then and then
Mm-hmm.
slowly wean out of the covers. You maybe do one or two, just to kind of have a throwback. But some bands are like you said that like no covers. We're all original. We're good. And I always wondered, do you think that worked in a positive or was it a negative trying to do what you did?
Definitely a positive. We'd
Okay.
always people would, we got all sorts of unsolicited advice of how we needed to do it or how we needed to be harder or more metal or do covers. And hey, will you play this cover? Like, like they knew what they were talking about. But yeah, well, then yeah, I think it just kind of would have polluted the brand and, jeopardized the mission of bringing glam back, like the real show.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the ones where you got to like, I guess, figure your audience and your crowd and your location and stuff and go from there. So like I said, I'm in a small area where people want local, want cover bands, but then you go, 20 minutes, 30 minutes south, and you got people they just want new bands, they want original stuff, they don't want any covers. So, I guess you just
Yeah, no, I mean, at first it was, well, and it still is tough, right? So, for instance, Live Nation will put us at Fillmore with a few thousand people and we'll stay in touch with them. And it's like, we don't know where to put you, right? Like Def Leppard brings their own openers like Joan Jett or something, but then there's no one really in between, right? You might think of like I don't know, the Darkness or a couple others, Greta Van Fleet, but they, they've got they're touring with someone. So,
Yeah,
um,
see, it, we have a place, I don't know, it's about 45 minutes away from where I live, and they have a lot of the, I guess, your retro bands playing. I've got to see Bret Michaels there. We've seen Firehouse and Lita Ford. Well, they always have, those two, but they'll have an opener, and their opener is a local,
right.
band. And, some of them are just glorified cover bands. But other ones there's one group, and I cannot remember the name of them for the life of me, but they come out full big hair, the hair bands, the
Yeah.
neon green and the whole thing, which is really funny because they're all like, but there's this one dude bald with like a giant beard who doesn't look like he belongs in the band.
He couldn't go up anymore. He had to go down
Yeah,
at the
there's no hair here. It's all here. Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be me if I was in a band. It'd be like, I'm fucking bald. I used to have hair at one point. Um, as I tell my youngest, I said I started losing hair about 13 years ago. And I don't know why. Uh, but
Yeah.
yeah, it would be nice to be able to. I mean, you guys are in Denver, which is hellacious. But if you had a place like that you could get like almost a constant, opening or not opening, but like your secondary act, I guess, not an opening act. So
Totally.
yeah,
Yeah, and I was just thinking we did open for Faster Pussycat too. So yeah, and a lot of the times at those shows, right, we'd get direct support or we started to. But yeah, I mean that's Sabrina's been in Nashville now for a minute, so we're thinking about right maybe trying to get a couple gigs there and see what the scene's like. And but yeah, right, like for that style of music,
oh
you
yeah.
know, there's a few in New York that we know. We've talked to. We had a show lined up before COVID hit, but you're looking at L.A., New York,
Yeah.
maybe Nashville. There's not not too much original glam coming out.
Well, I just did an interview. The last episode we just dropped was with a girl out of Nashville, and she is lack of a better term, gun for hire. And she was telling us about. She goes, "Oh yeah," she goes, "You go down on Broadway in Nashville, from open till close, there are bands playing every night." And she
So
goes, "You walk by and there's country. You walk by, there's pop. You walk down a little bit further, there's blues. You walk down, there's a metal band." She goes, "You just keep walking down to every bar. You can just go all day long and eat food, drink, and listen to different bands from all different genres all day long." And I'm like, that'd be awesome. So, so
well, and you can be we were there last year, right? And you'll be like walking on the street. And Don't Stop Believing's coming out of this bar, and half a block down, Don't Stop Believing's coming out of that bar. So it's just jukebox like Bachelorette City. But once you're off the strip, right,
mm,
there's a lot more original.
yeah, but it's I could imagine though, because it would have to be so hard to be a band nowadays because we've had this discussion that it everybody can get their music out there now easily, but the problem is now everybody can get their music out there easily now because everybody can. Yeah. Do you find it harder? Do you think now to get your music to the masses, or do you think it's easier now?
Yeah, I mean, definitely harder, right? Then it has to be, and I think we knew this going in, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's about your live show and your videos, and we have all sorts of people, right? Fans who we don't even know that come to the shows, and even a lot of our friends who come to every single show. There'll be a song we hadn't played in a while, and they say, "Oh, we love the new song," because they don't listen to the records. They love the show and they love the videos, but no one spins the record.
See, I'm one of the few people. My buddies always give me shit, and he was like, "You buy a lot of records." I'm like, "There's just something inherently awesome about listening to vinyl
Yeah,
because it's a lot of songs. That's the way you're supposed to hear it because it's set up that way. When you're just listening to singles or whatever, you don't get the full effect." So,
yeah, and we do have we did a vinyl on this last press because everyone right, again, unsolicited advice. You should do a single and this and that. And we did release Dangerous Lover as an early single just because we had some other delays. But um, right, you want the catalog, the 9 or 10 songs or 12 songs that fit on the A/B side, and it's a it's a work, right? It's a collection of
Yeah.
songs for that era, and then those people and so forth. So yeah, we didn't buy into the hey, just drip singles and then just be a singles band like we're some new pop sensation.
Yeah, because I've noticed some bands it works for them to drop a single, then an album, so that way they can get people interested. You get them connected, and then by the time you get those first couple songs dripped in, you get your full album out, and you can drop the whole album, go from there. But other people, it doesn't work that well for them. They got to have that first full album out, and then it works because that's the whole story is the album.
Yeah, it also becomes a hey, like I'm don't know how to use TikTok really or build some big marketing campaign. They've got too, on top of work, the band, this and that, and the show. It's you need a whole staff to do that machine.
Oh my god, I'm a one man army. I do 4 shows a week. I run my own business. I have my household and my kids, and I go.
Yeah.
So one reason why I don't play anymore, I don't have time. But that and I can't feel these 2 fingers anymore. That's the second nerve damage. Um, so I got to ask because we always ask this one: tour stories, tour horror stories. Do you have any good horror stories about being on tour?
We only did a few trips, but uh, I don't know. The one for me is I caught some sort of like respiratory something. I'd like lost my voice for a little bit, and we were in LA to play a showcase and another show. So I don't know if it's a horror story, but I was like, how am I going to sing? So right, the doc put me on steroids. I didn't talk all day for like a few days we were there, and I've got one of those like steamers on. So everyone's out. Hey, we're gonna go do this. Go do this. I literally just sat around, because I had to be plugged in, steaming, right? Take my steroids, and I wasn't feeling great, right? And then we load in. I can't really talk. We do a little sound. I can't do much on sound check. Then go hide in the green room. Everyone's out and like at the bar. And anyway, it's your classic like lead singer is isolated because I'm supposed to be on vocal rest. So I got through the shows and it was great, but my voice was like, I had 1 hour in me and then it was gone. So
That's
um,
do you have a somebody that you've toured with that you've really liked and one that maybe you would never tour with again that you don't have to say the name of?
no, I guess most all like the small tours have really just been pop in for this show or some of the stuff I did with the other pop bands were kind of you book a variety of different stuff. And I toured once way back as like after college or during college with my friend's band, and we toured alongside this guy Justin Young, who's some pop star, sounds like 98 Degrees from Hawaii, and he ended up. I think he was married to Colby Calais for a bit and was her backup guitarist and whatnot. Anyway, that was probably the only one I ever really toured with, and he was the coolest guy, super cool guy, and super fun. Our first show was at Mai Tai Bar in LA, and after one Mai Tai, I passed out on the couch there because we're tired, and there was about 3 shots or 4 shots in that thing.
So, um, where do you see Love Stallion in 5 years? What's your 5 year plan?
I think I've got all the album titles plotted for the next handful, but I hope to get another record or two out. I'm working on some, because I do piano and I'm working on this kind of mini musical thing that's a little more like a Bohemian Rhapsody meets Beauty and the Beast. But yeah, in 5 years, it's to be the full-time band and touring and all that. It's really like you have to choose that and nothing else. So I think in 5 years we'll, it'll still be cutting a record every few years, playing it a bit, trying to pop into some of the big markets, and of course they'll play in Denver. But um, yeah, just kind of keep doing what we're doing, see what happens. Right, we'd love to get on right for a stint with Steel Panther or the Darkness or someone like that. We've heard European tours are super fun, and because people are there to actually watch the show. There's no TVs and pool tables. It's all about
Going to the
seeing
show.
that stuff. So yeah, I'd like to, do keep doing our silly music videos and try to at least catch one European tour by then. But yeah, we've got some handful of tunes in progress for the next one, and it'll be called the third record. It'll be called Pony Up. So that's in progress, but hopefully we're out there playing later this year or something like that.
You got some songs for that album already?
We do, yeah. I think we had four pretty well put together. We only played one at the last show just over a year ago. But yeah, it really takes, right, like, gotta again have the time and everyone together and really diving in to get that stuff out and make it like really right, like to write it live so it feels right live, especially being such a live band.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Do you have a quote unquote day job?
And yes, yeah. I mean, I run a handful of different businesses and on the national level, so it's not really a job, I suppose, but yeah, it's across like all sorts of stuff, kind of real estate and real estate adjacent. So it kind of keeps it fun and flexible.
There you go. Now, how does do you have a family that backs you, or is your family one of the ones like, oh man, you guys need to no, just
Yeah. Yeah, my family's like doctors and attorneys, and so it's definitely mom's not into it. But yeah, kind of thankful we got a huge group of friends and big supporters of it. It's kind of like our own Wayne's World, real life Wayne's World. But yeah, that's another thing too, is right. You can only do so much too when you're self-funded and just kind of trying to make it all work.
yeah. Well, it's so funny because we've done interviews with people who their parents are like, or their family's like, well, why are you doing this? Why? And then they're doing pretty well. And you're just like, then you have the bands that are just like, eh, and then their family's like, you're doing great. You're awesome. You're just like, you have the most passionate parents or family members at the beginning. And then the ones that are in the middle have the parents that are like, you need to go get a better job. I mean,
yeah, no, I definitely get the, hey, when are you going to grow up and cut your hair and go get your whatever? But they gave up saying that after some time because, right,
yeah,
I'm doing other things. I'm doing all right.
So you said you've been playing. When did you pick up an instrument? When did you start playing?
So I started playing, piano when I was 5.
Oh, geez.
And then picked up guitar at 12. I think I started playing trumpet in whenever, 4th grade or something. But anyway, as time goes on, my brothers got instruments like and friends did, so I would just go play my brother's drums, my friend's bass, so I was always kind of trying to learn it all because I wanted to start piecing together the songs and this and that. So that, I kind of ended up being a utility man across a lot of projects or studio stuff and whatnot. But yeah, like everyone just wanted to be like David Lee Roth.
You got to be a well-rounded musician, man. You got to know all that stuff.
Yeah, it helps with the writing and arranging and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, that's one of the things I always loved is watching some of these bands. Like my wife loves Aerosmith, and we're watching one of the old videos, and you'd see him like run around. He's like, no, like this, and yeah, okay. All right, like that, yeah. I want this, that. Okay, now go over here, and he would sing, and it's like being able to do that would be freaking awesome. I mean,
so yeah, well, so that's me, and that also pisses off the band members too when they won't do the exact fill or the exact move or whatever it is. So 100%. It's a blessing and a curse.
And you said you choreograph everything. Do you have somebody come in and choreograph you, or do you guys choreograph yourselves?
I mean, I pretty much do that, right? Because I love, just like when Kiss during Deuce does like the like that. I just love all that stuff, and right, Prince and Kiss are just the kings of that. So, well, and Princes and the Kings.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, it's right, and that's what makes Turnover so hard is to have to relearn all of the kicks and the moves and this, whatever it is.
yeah. Well, I can imagine because that would have to be hard, especially if you got a good turnover. As soon as you get everybody trained and give them the music, and they're like, "Nah, I'm out." You're like,
Right.
I gotta start over again.
Yep. Yeah, I've been through that, but we've got a lot of video at this point and kind of written stuff out. It's all kind of like stuff you'd expect at that part too. But guitar salutes not hard to teach.
Oh yeah. Well, you're out there, you're having fun, you're doing what you love, and you're bringing back rock and metal to a funner time, funner, yeah, funner time. Back before everything was all serious and dark, and don't get me wrong, I love serious and dark stuff, but I also like stuff where I want to just have fun and listen to Van Halen or whatever, and you can't be, because I was very much when I my wife hated it because there for a while I was very much like, oh, the hell with that, that's I'm too hard for that. And then I go back and I'm like, I miss that song, I miss that. I find like a cassette case, so I'm popping in cassettes in my truck at the time, and I'm like, yeah, that was a great album. Yeah, freaking Rat was killer back then, you're just like,
Right.
but but you're out there, you're killing it, you're having fun doing it, you're bringing back an old school style of fun rock and roll, and you got a passion for it, and that's awesome. Um, and you said you're kind of in a downtime right now, but do you have any upcoming plans or anything? Maybe something down the road?
Yeah, I mean I'm going in for some pre-pro on a couple of the songs for the new record and for this musical kind of side project. We're waiting to see if we might get to play with Steel Panther again, and we're starting to look at what Nashville might look like. So, yeah, hopefully summer or fall we're back with some shows. But it's yeah, realizing like, and after the first record, right, there was some downtime too because you kind of need it to collect your thoughts again and figure out where you're going to be writing, or what the show will look like, what's the vibe, because things evolve. So, right, the first one was a little more like dreaming of being rock stars, and the second record was just, hey, we're just having fun, putting on a show, and right, songs like Highway 69 and like car videos and stuff like that. So it's a little just more, right, it evolves, and I think my writing at 38 is certainly different than like at 20, 27 or whatever it was. So but yeah, man, I got a jet in a few, but
Yeah.
I appreciate you having me on, man.
Before you go, where can people find you?
So best would be, yeah, of course, Instagram, which is just at Love Stallion. So is Facebook, Love Stallion. I think it's Love Stallion Band on TikTok. I'd have to ask Sabrina. We need a young person to handle that. But yeah, Spotify, YouTube. So we just cut "Rock My Baby," our new video. I'd say if you're checking out Love Stallion, go to YouTube because we have few videos from each record, right? Highway 69 and Dangerous Lover from this last one, along with Rock My Baby. And we have the Road to Red Rocks, which is a nine episode like rockumentary kind of thing. Kind of feels like Spinal Tap. So I know the boys are just starting to work on season 2, Road to Rehab. So we'll have that one out soon.
Merch. Where can people find your merch?
LoveStallionRocks.com. We're out of the band with their faces on the shirts. We still got some left with the last rendition of the logo and the sparkle heart, but we'll have some new merch coming out here in the next couple months, hopefully for that April show, if not by summer.
And you said you got vinyl out?
We got an LP out.
Yes.
So if you got a record player, it's got some cool art.
I'm gonna have to order one and go in my collection over here.
So yeah, shoot me your info. Actually, were you the one who ordered? I think I just got back in town.
No,
anyway,
I didn't order one yet, so no.
And send me your address. I'll drop you one in the mail.
Sweet. I'll drop that here in a little bit. But thank you so very much. Can we use your music for the outro on the show?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Cool. We always like to ask, and we always like to have that documented on the show so people can go, we never said you could use our music. Yes, you did. Right there it is.
Yeah.
So thank you so very much. People need to get out there. You need to find Love Stallion. You need to go find Aaron Hart. You need to go see these guys live. If you love 80s hair metal and glam rock, you need to go out there and check these guys out. Thank you so very much for doing the show. I appreciate the hell out of this. Take care and have fun, sir. And hopefully we'll see you out there on tour. So
yeah, man. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. We'll stay in touch.
To the future. I'd say it was a blast from the past, or maybe into the future. Thanks for tuning in to WSTAL, The Style. So you got a new release coming up, Denver's own Love Stallion. Glam rock out of Denver, Colorado. Glam is back and it's better than ever. And you thought grunge killed glam, but guess what, folks? You're wrong. Coming up next, Rock My Baby.
Take it.